You're still watching the AM show on Joy News. And right before we get into our next conversation, I'll have you know that the Energy Commission and Ministry of Energy, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service and Ghana TVET Service, presents the 5th edition of the Energy Commission Senior High Schools Renewable Energy Challenge. And this challenge aims to develop the research skills of senior high school students and promote technological innovation in renewable energy, competing fiercely in this thrilling competition at the following schools: Obuasi Senior High and Technical School, St. James Seminary Senior High School, Ola Girls Senior High School, Hantaman Girls Senior High School, Pando Senior High School, and Dabukba Technical Institute. You want to join us for the grand finale on Tuesday, October 8th, 2024 at the Accra International Conference Center. Or you can also catch the broadcast live on Joy News at 9 a.m. This event is proudly supported by GIZ, Ashesi University, French Development Agency, and the VRA. Now let's talk about the 9th African Nutrition Conference 2024, which has been in existence for a little over 20 years now, held every 2 years. In the studio with me to discuss this is Reverend Dr. Tom Indanu. He's Senior Research Fellow of University of Ghana Dental School and a member of the Board of Trustees for the ANS. And we also have Professor Paul Amuna. He is from the Department of Family and Community Health at the University of Health and Allied Sciences. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So now let's talk. I know we were chatting a bit before we came on air, but let's, for the benefits of our audience, let me start with you, Prof. Prof, what is this African Nutrition Conference really about?
Right, thank you very much, and thanks to your listeners and viewers. The Africa Nutrition Conference is actually a flagship conference of the African Nutrition Society.
Okay.
And this
is the ANS.
The ANS. And the society is made up of scientists, people working in the field of nutrition, food science, and related fields across the continent. And this conference is the leading scientific meeting on nutrition in Africa. And it was muted by the African Nutrition Society because the landscape in Africa was one of an empty field where you have a lot of young scientists wanting to go to conferences, to learn and to network in nutrition, and they have to travel abroad.
Yeah.
And we felt that we should actually bring the world-leading scientists to Africa. And so if you look at the lineup for the ANC 2024, you find that it is made up of experts from all over the world.
Okay.
But it is a conference organized in Africa on nutrition by Africans.
A conference for Africans organized by Africans and for Africans. I like that. And you've been doing this for, I said, a little over 20 years now, Reverend. Would you say that you've been able to meet your targets in terms of the fallouts from these conferences that you've had over the years and how they've actually impacted our lives in Africa?
Yes.
How so?
Let me start by saying that we have managed to produce top nutritionists on the continent. That through the society, we've pushed to be at the echelon of World Health and Nutrition Fora, where our people stood shoulder to shoulder, as members of ANS from the continent, has stood shoulder to shoulder to discuss health, nutrition issues, where some of the decisions that were made at some of our conferences were brought to bear on the final decision, even at the WHO.
Okay.
So thus we say, but the best part of it is that we have given a forum for the nutrition experts on the continent to interact with the best outside the world, over the world. Now, they are learning from us, things that we have done that has been very successful. We are also learning from them the successful things they have done. So I can say that we are almost at par in addressing nutrition issues pertaining to the continent.
Okay.
So we are in it, and we know.
We are better equipped and able to speak about the issues that affect us as Africans.
Exactly. So
and the theme for this year is interesting. It says food and nutrition in a challenging world, implications for nutrition security and health in Africa. Tell me a bit about this. And you were telling me that at these conferences, when you organize them, you have food scientists, researchers who share their new findings, new research, with the rest of the world or the continent, so that we are not just playing catch-up like Africa does in all other sectors. Tell me a bit more about the theme, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. And but before I go to the theme, let me just touch on something that Reverend has mentioned in terms of the impact that the society and its work and the conference has produced. Through our society and the conferences, we have produced world-renowned experts like Professor Anna Lartey, who became the head of the nutrition division of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. She also became the president of the International Union of Nutritional Sciences.
That's a success
And from humble beginnings with this particular society and a conference and things like that. And then, in addition to that, we have other people. At the University of Ghana today, we have one of the leading stars in the field of public health nutrition, Professor Amos La. We also have Richmond Aite. These are all people who are influencing nutrition across the world.
And will they be at the conference?
They will be at the conference. And indeed, Professor Anna Lartey is receiving the Global International Nutrition Prize called the Nevin Scrimshaw Award. Scrimshaw was one of the leaders in nutrition in the world who actually identified and trained Africans to become leaders in nutrition.
Okay.
And we offer the Scrimshaw Award. I also want to add that the United Nations established the Scaling Up Nutrition system. And the African Nutrition Society was a founding member of the group that came up with the ideas for scaling up nutrition. And so we have continued to make a lot of impact. And we also have links with the African Nutrition Leadership Program, which is based in Potchefstroom at Northwestern University in South Africa. So, and to come back to the theme of the conference.
I see, if I leave you keep going on and on about the impact and how important it is. But I mean, we cannot underplay it. We are facing looming food crisis in this country, and of course it feeds into nutrition. Yes. So I think it's an interesting choice of theme, the implications of nutrition security and health in Africa. Tell us more.
Yes. So a few years ago at the United Nations General Assembly, there was this focus on food systems transformation across countries and how this relates to food security and nutrition. And as we all know, in Africa, we have known and lived with problems of food insecurity, poverty, malnutrition, and so on. But at the same time, in developing countries, and particularly in regions such as in Africa, we also have a growing trend in non-communicable diseases. So diseases related to obesity and diabetes and all these issues have been growing. All these are related to our food systems. And so at the same time as we are looking at links between agriculture, food production, and the distribution of this across to the lowest common denominator, at the same time we are looking at the excesses also. And so this theme is a broad theme, but it comes under 4 tracks, which include nutrition and health. And we are also very much focused on nutrition training. And so one of the key areas for this conference will be to look at the changing trends in the training of nutritionists, dietitians, and other people working in that space, and to see how we can influence, improvements in the quality of training, and of course, bring in research evidence to inform how we do our business.
Prof, you've set it up really nicely. I'm sure our audience would want to attend and, they're eager to hear the outcomes of this conference. So, Reverend, tell us a bit more about, the details of the conference. You said this is the 3rd time you're hosting it in Ghana.
Exactly.
And this time you're going to Cape Coast, the University of Cape Coast. That's interesting. So when is it happening? Where? Who can attend? Are you selling tickets? Just give us the little nitty-gritty about this event.
Well, let me begin with Cape Coast.
Okay.
We are Cape Coast University is hosting the program. And the main center will be at the NEC, Examination Center. So that's where it starts from It actually starts from the 7th. Formally starts from on the 7th, I think, to the 10th.
11th.
But the 11th. But then we have pre-conferences, which start from on the 5th tomorrow.
Okay.
We have 2 days of pre-conference activities, whilst the actual...
What goes into the pre-conference?
Well, the pre-conference will be specific for institutions that we want to hold workshops and seminars, and then a training program. So we put it out there on our website, and people register, and then they attend. So it starts tomorrow, and then some of us from here, we are going back, we are going to the court campus, and on Sunday, we have another one. But on Sunday, there's going to be a community engagement program. We choose a particular community, interact with them, and have a debate. There's going to be some of debates. There was going to be the conference activity from Monday to the Thursday, and we have a post-conference activities, which is also another form of workshop. In fact, I will be running one of them on research and statistics for the young scientists. So it's well packed, and we invite people to please do their best. Who can attend? If you work in the field of nutrition, dietetics, food science, health, agriculture, there are a lot of teams and sub-teams that you fit. So all of them are invited, whether you are in Greenland or in Papua New Guinea or in Ghana. Once you've heard you are interested in nutrition, you are invited. You qualify to attend.
Talking about research and statistics, what's the latest in terms of the malnutrition? How are we even doing as a country? Let's make it country specific.
Yes.
How are we doing in terms of nutrition, malnutrition? For which reason you even want to identify the challenges and proffer solutions to fix it? Prof, you want to take that from me?
Yes, thank you very much for that. Well, you know, I mentioned the Scaling Up Nutrition Program. And if you recall, at the time when the Honorable Kofi Annan was the Secretary General of the United Nations, they actually came up with the Millennium Development Goals.
Yes.
The idea being that by 2015, we would have reduced the state of malnutrition, underweight, stunting, and other things by a certain amount. And then as we transitioned into the 2000s, the Sustainable Development Goals have now become the focus. And by 2030, we have a target. The good news is that on the malnutrition front, for instance, things like underweight, Ghana has been doing quite well in terms of reducing the levels from, say, the levels we had in 1990 and so on. Stunting is still a problem. And the reason we are concerned about stunting is that even though we have reduced the stunting rates by anything between 8 to 10% from the 1990 levels, it's still too high for us. You know, we're talking about something between 17 and 19%, but it's
in terms of underweight.
Yeah, no, stunting.
Stunting, right?
Yeah, but then if you go to certain parts of, for example, in Ghana, you go to the northern parts of the country, we have about 27%.
That's high.
Exactly. So it means that we need to look at the ecological zones, to look at specific issues that relate to these areas and how we can reduce them. Now, in the days when I was a student, we had these nutrition rehabilitation centers around the country where children with severe malnutrition were treated. The good news is that over the years, because of improvements in the way we manage malnutrition, there has been a scaling down of those, and now we don't talk about the nutrition rehab centers, but we have community-based kind of programs that are aimed at improving nutrition for young children and so on. And all these are helping to reduce the rate of malnutrition. That said, we want to have a zero level of undernutrition, of stunting, and so on. I mentioned stunting in particular because, you see, the problem is that what happens in early life, in fact, even pre-early life, pre-pregnancy in the woman, and what happens during pregnancy in terms of the nutrition of the mother has direct implications on the outcome in terms of this thing. And then the early feeding and all those things and their interaction with the environment, their health, infections, all those things can actually add up. And a child who is undernourished at birth, as an adult, is at higher risk of developing chronic disease.
I would have. I was leaning towards mental health issues because
Indeed.
there was a research I read up on about how your nutrition is connected to your mental prowess. You know, so
that is also part of it. So when we talk of chronic diseases include mental health, you know, the diabetes, the cancers, and so on.
Right.
You know, because the risk is that as a result of the early life experiences, we develop a certain level of resilience. It is called nutritional adaptation.
Yes.
And later in life, because of that, you know, we complain about energy in this country. Energy is the single most important currency in any aspect of anything we do, including life.
Yeah.
And so if you learn how to conserve energy better, then when you have plenty of it, what happens? You conserve more and then you put on weight.
Okay.
And then obesity, and then all those other problems that are related to it.
Prof, if I leave you.
I would like to add something.
But I want,
That, see, currently, globally, nutrition is not just a health and well-being issue, but a developmental issue.
Yes.
If you are poor, if you are first hungry, you are weak, you are likely to be poor, and you are going to remain poor for a long time. Countries that have solved the problem of nutrition and food security, they have enough time to handle issues that deals with development. So that is the key now. Let's solve our nutrition and food challenges. Then we set up the foundation to shoot up, to develop.
Reverend, for those watching us who might want to attend, but we'll come to them in a bit, who might not be able to attend, what will be that key message that they can take away from you? You're a research fellow, a senior research fellow.
Yes.
In terms of how we can mitigate the effect of malnutrition and all this. What is that one message that you think would help someone watching us right now?
Let me put it this way, very simple. You are what you eat. Watch what you eat. Seek information and eat better.
I like that. You are what you eat, watch what you eat, seek information, and eat better.
Exactly.
Thank you. Prof, what would you add to that?
Well, I'll add to that we need to start growing what we eat.
Okay.
Because some of our problems also relate to, for example, foods that we import, ultra-processed foods, the biscuits and all these confectionaries and other things that are imported that are very high in sugar and fat. We have to learn to grow our own food. We have to learn community-based and home-based agriculture, and we have to learn school-based agriculture. Let me just add finally that in relation to the pre-conference that a Reverend talked about, one of them is the School Health and Nutrition Consortium of Africa that has decided to come and have their workshops alongside the African Nutrition Conference.
Okay.
And that tells you about the importance of all these things. And school health and nutrition is one of the things. I want to just say, in my passing comment,
your final word for me. Yeah.
We should promote school-based agriculture to support the school feeding program and to reduce the problems of nutrition in our schools.
We used to do that, you know, backyard gardening. These days, nobody's doing that. Reverend, you wanted to add
I want
something
to add
briefly.
here that the conference is hosted by the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. They are hosting it in country. Okay. We have special guests. The First Lady has been selected to, yes, she's the patron of the Ghana Academy. And also we have Professor, the former president, Ufo, as the ambassador for this conference. I need that. I need people to know this.
I wish you all the very best. And please do well to attend if you can. It's the 9th Africa Nutrition Conference 2024 from the 7th to 11th of October at Cape Coast, University of Cape Coast, on the theme, Food and Nutrition in a Changing World, Implications for Nutrition Security and Health in Africa. And to get into the people who helped us get into this conversation, Reverend Dr. Tom Indanu. He's a senior research fellow of University of Ghana Dental School and a member of the Board of Trustees for ANS, that is the African Nutrition Society. And then we also had Professor Paul Amuna from the Department of Family and Community Health, University of Health and Allied Sciences. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Right, let's take a brief, let's take a break. We'll return and wrap up in a bit.
Okay.